Before this story starts, I need you to understand one thing. She is not the hero. Not yet. She does not start this story as someone who makes choices. She starts it as someone who executes them. Someone for whom the difference between a choice and an order has been so thoroughly dissolved by years of training that she has stopped being able to tell where one ends and the other begins. She starts this story as the best weapon a clan ever built. Precise, controlled, loyal in the specific way of someone who has never been given the option of being anything else. And then she goes into the forest. And the forest has a secret that her clan has been keeping from her. And the secret is going to do something to her that no mission ever did. Not the difficult ones. Not the ones where everything went wrong. Not the ones she survived by the margin of a single decision made in the dark. It is going to make her feel something. Stay until the last word. Because the ending is not what you think it is. The ending is not a resolution. It is the moment she understands the full shape of what was done to her, and decides for the first time what she is going to do about it. And what she decides is going to make the people who built her very afraid. Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Tell someone. Now. Let's begin. Ayla did not make mistakes. This was not arrogance. It was record. 7 years of missions, each one cleaner than the last, each one delivering what the clan needed in the precise form the clan needed it, and no more. No collateral, no complications, no loose variables that had to be managed afterward. Why, she had been trained from the age of 15 to be the specific kind of person that problems were sent to rather than sent away from, and she had grown into that role with the specific, complete acceptance of someone who has never been offered an alternative to compare it to. She did not make mistakes because mistakes were the province of people who had feelings about their work, and Ayla had been trained out of feelings with the same patient thoroughness with which she had been trained into everything else. Feelings were variables. Variables compromised outcomes. Compromised outcomes were unacceptable. This was the architecture of how she understood herself. She was 23 years old, and she was the best the clan had ever produced, and she was walking through a forest that was too quiet in a way that was not natural quiet, but the specific quality of silence that means something, and the silence is aware of you. She had been tracking Alpha Darius for 54 minutes. He was not supposed to be easy to track. His record suggested he should have been the most difficult target the clan had ever given her, not because he was reckless, not because he was careless, but because he was none of those things, which was what made him dangerous. He was deliberate. He was controlled. He did not make himself vulnerable. And yet, he was alone. Standing in the center of a forest clearing as though he had arrived there specifically and the forest had made room for him specifically, and he was waiting for something that he expected to arrive from the direction she was already coming from. She stopped at the tree line and observed. Calculated. Something was wrong. He was too still. Not the stillness of an ambush. Not the coiled, pressurized stillness of someone about to move. The stillness of someone who had already arrived at a decision and was in the specific quiet that comes after decision, before action. That quality of stillness should have been sufficient reason to reconsider. She tightened her grip on the blade at her side and moved forward. 5 steps from the clearing's edge. 3, 1. You are done watching. His voice did not echo. Why, it landed. The specific quality of a voice that is not performing volume but has a density to it, a weight that makes it present in a different way from ordinary sound, like it had been placed inside her chest rather than spoken into the air. She stopped. He turned, and she saw him clearly for the first time, the face that the clan's intelligence had described and the face that the intelligence had failed to adequately prepare her for. Because intelligence is information, and information is not presence, and his presence was something the intelligence had not captured. Tall, dark, A face that had been arranged by years of holding responsibility into something that communicated solidity rather than beauty. The face of someone who has carried weight long enough that the carrying has become structural. When his eyes were pale gray and they were looking at her without fear and without anger and without the specific wariness of a man who has just been caught alone by someone who intends to kill him. He was looking at her with recognition. "You have been following me," he said. Not a question. A fact he was confirming for her benefit rather than his own. Ayla stepped out of the shadow of the trees. "I am here to kill you," she said. Her voice came out flat and cold and certain in the exact way her training had produced, in the exact way that 7 years of missions had refined. The voice of someone who has said this before and said it after, and for whom the saying has become as unremarkable as the doing that follows it. But something moved, something inside her, a subtle pull at the center of her chest, unfamiliar, sourceless. What completely without precedent in 7 years of standing in clearings and saying exactly these words. She dismissed it, filed it under irrelevant, moved on. Darius studied her with his pale gray eyes. Not like prey, not like a threat. Like someone studying a problem they have already solved and are now verifying the solution against the reality. "You are not what I expected," he said. "Good," she replied. "That makes this easier." But something in the word easier sounded wrong as she said it. The word landed in the air between them and she heard it, and it was not the word she meant to say because easier implied difficulty, and difficulty implied something was at stake that she had not yet named. She put her blade in her hand and moved. No warning, no hesitation. Her blade cut through the clearing air toward his left side with the lethal precision of someone who has drilled this specific motion 10,000 times and knows exactly what it produces. He blocked instantly, too fast for the intelligence's description of his reflexes. Too controlled for someone who had not been expecting the exact angle of attack she had chosen. They clashed again, and again. The fight tightened with the specific rapid compression of two people who are well-matched, discovering that they are well-matched. The surprise of it, the adjustment required, the recalibration of everything assumed. She changed rhythm, changed angle, increased pressure. He matched her, not overpowering her, not overwhelming her, matching her, reading her, understanding her. The way you understand something you have studied rather than something you are encountering for the first time. She had never in 7 years of missions encountered someone who matched her this way, who read her this way. She pushed harder, faster, more aggressive, the thought running beneath the aggression as it always did. End it, end it, end it. Because ending it was the mission, and the mission was the only relevant variable. Then he hesitated. A pause so brief that only someone with her training and her specific attunement to the rhythm of a fight would have caught it. A gap in his defense, small, precise, the kind of opening that does not stay open. Her instincts fired. She did not think. She drove her blade forward, and the blade found him. Everything stopped. The clearing, the night, the movement. But all of it stopped simultaneously in the specific way that the world stops when something irreversible has happened and the irreversibility has not yet been processed. Then, pain. Not his. Hers. Something slammed into the center of her chest from the inside. Not physical. Not the pain of injury. Something older and more structural than that. Her breath left her body. Her heart stuttered in its rhythm. Her hand on the blade grip went briefly nerveless, and she felt the specific cellular shock of a body encountering something for which it has no framework. She could not finish the sentence she tried to start, because she felt it. The bond. It did not form gradually. It did not build. It snapped. The specific violent immediacy of something that has been true for longer than either of them knew and is simply now being revealed. Like a door that has always been in the wall being opened for the first time. Like a name being spoken for the first time that you understand you have always had. Mate. No, she whispered. The word small. The word insufficient. The word the only available response to something that did not ask for a response. Her eyes locked onto his, and in his pale gray eyes, no shock, no pain beyond the physical, no fear, only the specific expression of someone who had been waiting for a thing and is now in the moment of its arrival. And the arrival is exactly what they expected, and they are in the first moment of everything that comes after it. I know, he said. The world cracked along a fault line she had not known was there. You knew, she said, not a question, a statement she was trying to make sense of as she made it. Ah, yes. Then why did you not stop me? Her voice was not steady anymore. The flatness was gone, and what was underneath the flatness was coming through, and she did not know what to call it. Because you would not have listened, he said. Not then. You needed to feel it first. Feel what? That it was never your choice. The pain in her chest was not the bond anymore. The bond was present and overwhelming and entirely unlike anything she had been trained to process. The pain was something else. The specific pain of understanding beginning to arrive. They lied to you, he said. No. The denial was automatic. 7 years of structure defending itself. They sent you here knowing this could happen. That is not. They trained you to kill before you could feel what killing cost you. His voice was not accusatory. It was the voice of someone stating facts they have already made peace with on behalf of someone who has not yet had the chance. Her breath was not even, because something in her, beneath the training, beneath 7 years of the clan's architecture of how she understood herself, recognized what he was saying. Not intellectually, deeper than intellectually. In the place where the bond was now present and pulling and entirely outside the category of anything she had been trained to manage. They made you a weapon, he said. The word landed in the center of everything. Deep, final. The kind of word that once it has been said out loud in the presence of the person it describes cannot be unsaid and cannot be unheard, and changes the shape of every preceding thing by the fact of having been said. No, she whispered. But this time, the no was not denial. It was the first syllable of recognition arriving in the body before the mind has caught up. You are not the first they sent, he said. Her stomach dropped in the specific way of a body that has just received information it cannot immediately integrate. The others never reached me, he continued. They were not, he paused, compatible. She understood what he was not saying. They knew, she said, slowly, building the sentence as she built the understanding. Yes. They knew I was compatible, that this could happen. Yes. And they sent me anyway. Yes. The 3 confirmations landed like stones, each one settling, each one more final than the last. The bond pulsed again, then shifted, changed quality, became something urgent and directional and wrong in the specific way of something that is running out of time. She looked at him. His face had changed. The controlled steadiness was still there, but something beneath it was losing its hold. The blade wound, the bond severing at its root with the specific violence of something that was not meant to be severed. She moved before she decided to move, crossed the distance between them and caught him before the clearing ground did. Her hands on him, his weight against her. The bond between them not a comfort now, but a live thing, present and fierce and entirely indifferent to the mission that had brought her here. Stay with me, she said. Her voice was not trained anymore. The flatness was completely gone. What was in its place she did not have a name for yet and did not need one because the bond knew, even if she didn't, you are not dying. A statement she made to the clearing, and to him, and to the bond, and to the part of herself that had just understood in the last 60 seconds that it was not the weapon they had built it to be. He almost smiled, the specific almost smile of someone who finds something worth finding even here. You are a terrible liar, he said. Stop. Just stay. You are stronger than you know, he said. I do not care about that right now. You will, he said. The bond flickered. Then it went out. The forest moved. They came from between the trees. 1, 2, 5, more. Alar, the wolves of Darius's territory emerging into the clearing with the specific collective awareness of a pack that has felt what happened through the bond network and has arrived to understand it. They saw him. They saw her. And the clearing went the specific, terrible still of a situation that has not yet resolved into what it is going to be. She killed him. The words moved through the assembled wolves with the quality of a current, electric, directional, setting every body in the clearing at a particular frequency. Ayla did not move, did not defend, did not offer the combat-ready response that 7 years of training had built into her body as automatic. She stayed where she was, on the ground beside him, her hands no longer on the blade, her body not positioned for anything except being present in this exact place. For the first time in 7 years, she did not know what came next. Not because the mission had failed, because the thing that had replaced the mission did not have a protocol. The beta stepped forward from the assembled wolves. He was older than most of the others. The specific aged quality of someone who has been loyal to something for a long time and has the patience that long loyalty produces. He knew, the beta said. Ayla looked up. What? He felt the bond before you reached the forest. The beta's voice was not angry. It was the voice of someone delivering information they've been carrying since before the clearing and are now releasing to the person it belongs to. He knew what you were before you knew what he was. Everything that had been building in the last hour clicked into place with the specific clean sound of something settling into a position it was always going to occupy. He let me, she said. Not a question. He gave you the opening. The beta said. He chose it. She looked down at Darius, at the face that had looked at her with recognition in the clearing. Not the recognition of a man who sees a threat, but the recognition of a man who sees something he has been waiting for and has made his peace with the cost of the waiting. He chose it. He had stood in the clearing and waited and felt the bond and understood what she was and what she had been sent to do and what the clan had done to her by sending her. And he had chosen to give her the opening anyway, not to die, to show her. Now, the only way she would have believed it. The only way the architecture of 7 years of training would have cracked wide enough for the truth to get through. He gave her a choice by removing the only one she thought she had. She returned. The training compound was unchanged, cold, structured, controlled, built for the production of a specific kind of person and maintained for the continuation of that production. She had walked these corridors thousands of times, and the corridors had always looked like certainty. They looked like something else now. She filed the difference. She kept walking. Her handler met her without inflection. You completed the mission. Yes. Report. The target is dead. Good. That was the sum of it. No acknowledgement of the 54 minutes in the forest. No acknowledgement of the clearing or the bond or the specific 50 seconds during which the architecture of everything she had been built to be had cracked and something older and more real had come through. No acknowledgement of anything that was not the mission outcome. Because to them she was a tool, and tools did not require acknowledgement. Tools required maintenance and deployment and outcome assessment. She had known this. She had always known this. But knowing a thing and standing inside the full weight of it are two different things, and she was standing inside it now. "You knew," she said. The silence that followed had a specific quality. Not the silence of someone who does not understand the question, but the silence of someone who is deciding how to respond to a question they were prepared for. "Knew what?" her handler said. About the bond." A pause. Shorter than it should have been. "That was not relevant to the mission." "You sent me anyway." "Yes." No hesitation, no shift in tone, no moment in which the confirmation cost anything. Just yes. Simple and certain and entirely without the weight it should have carried. "Why?" she said. "Because the outcome was acceptable either way." Her handler's voice was the voice of someone reading from a calculation rather than speaking from a position. If you died, the problem resolved. If you succeeded, the target was eliminated. A brief pause. Both were acceptable. She stood with this. The words settled in the cold compound air with the specific weight of things that are true and have always been true and have simply not been stated before. "You made me a weapon," she said. "Yes." No hesitation, no reframing, no softening, just truth, delivered with the casual certainty of something that is not a confession but a classification. She was a weapon. That was her category. Categories did not require justification. "Where did you hear that word?" her handler asked. "I did not hear it," she said. "Someone said it to me." "The target." "Yes." "He was irrelevant." "No," she said. The word landed in the compound corridor with a force that was entirely disproportionate to its size, because it was not a word she had said before. Not in this specific context, not with this specific weight, not as the first word of something rather than the continuation of a denial. "He gave me a choice," she said. "You gave me orders. The difference is not semantic." The corridor was very still. "You are stepping outside your function," her handler said. I do not have a function anymore," she said. "I decide now." She turned. She walked, not running, not escaping, not the frantic departure of someone who has broken something and is fleeing the breaking. The deliberate, unhurried, entirely chosen departure of someone who has decided where they are going and has already assessed every route and has selected the one that serves what they have decided rather than what they were built for. She was not their weapon anymore. She was something they did not have a category for. And that specifically was what was going to make the next part very interesting. Wait, do not close this yet, because there is something I did not tell you at the beginning of this story. Something that was true the whole time she was in the forest. Something that was true when she stood in the compound corridor and said no for the first time. She was not the only one they sent. Not the first, not the last. There are others, right now. Moving through other forests, tracking other targets, carrying the same 7 years of architecture and the same absence of choice and the same specific vulnerability that made Ayla useful. The specific vulnerability of someone who has never been given the option of being anything other than the weapon the clan needed. And now she knows. And now she is walking toward them, not to rescue them. She is not naive enough to believe that is what this looks like. Das thou. She is walking toward them because the clan built her to be the best they had ever produced, and the clan was right about that. She is the best they ever produced. And what the best they ever produced is going to do with 7 years of their training and the full weight of what she now knows is not something they planned for. They planned for a weapon that could be aimed. They did not plan for a weapon that learned to aim itself. So here's the question I need you to sit with. She is walking into the next part of this with one goal. Find the others. Find the ones still being used. Find the ones who have not yet had their forest clearing moment, who have not yet had the thing happen to them that cracks the architecture wide enough for the truth to get through. But here's what the next video reveals. One of the others is not like her. This one of the others did have the clearing moment, and they made a different choice. Drop AYLA in the comments right now if you need to know what that choice was. Every single comment tells me you are here. Every Ayla is the next chapter getting closer. And the next chapter is the darkest thing in this story. Darker than the forest, darker than the bond, darker than anything the clan did to her. Because it is about what happens when someone who could have been exactly what she became decided not to be. And why? Subscribe. Turn on notifications. Come back next week. Because she is not done. She is just starting. And the clan has no idea what they built. I will see you in the dark.